Well, for the last few years, famed investor Jim Rogers has been upbeat on the outlook for investment in Russia. Rogers stuck by that view in large part in the face of increasing Western sanctions against Moscow. Jim joins us now to talk about Russia and the outlook for global investments. Jim, always great to see you. Thanks so much. Welcome to New York City. Listen, there's an awful lot to get through. We're going to try to cover most of it. First, let's start with Russia. It looks like some progress, some agreement between EU and Russia. Last we talked, you were a little bit cautious because of the situation in Ukraine. How do you feel about investing in Russia now?
Well, I bought some shares back in March. I bought some again a week or so ago. This is all good news as far as I'm concerned. I don't expect this to be the Third World War, and I see great opportunities in Russia, which is very cheap and very hated, at least the stock market.
Yeah, that's right. Hard to imagine this isn't going to have some lasting impact or chill on the relations between Russia and Europe, certainly. Have you changed what you're investing in? What are you bullish on in particular in the Russian economy?
Well, Maggie, just a few minutes ago, I became a director of a Russian company, a fertilizer and phosphorus company. I'm obviously very optimistic about that industry and that company, agriculture. But Russia has vast, vast resources. It's not a debtor nation. It has a convertible currency, and the market is very cheap. At least I hope it's cheap.
Jim, I know you like to look for opportunity where other people sometimes are afraid to go. How do you feel about Ukraine? Would you be looking at Ukraine as a place for investment, or is the economy just facing too many challenges right now?
Well, I became bearish on the Ukraine in 1966 and Russia in 1966. 2 years, 2012, 13, I became optimistic about Russia. I still have not become optimistic about the Ukraine. That country has been so badly managed for so long that if the savior comes along, sure, but I don't see her yet.
Not yet. Talking about management, some people might say mismanagement. I wonder if you have any view on what's happening in the UK right now. That vote on Scotland independence getting awfully close. I know you're someone who watches currencies. Is that impacting you at all? Are you looking at that situation from an investment point of view?
Well, we all have to, because whatever happens, Maggie, it's going to have ongoing effects. Northern Ireland may try to get out. Spain, they're trying to split up. Belgium, this could have a knock-on effect in many countries around the world. Texas may leave America. I mean, who knows what's going to happen in the end.
Is it going to be destabilizing effect? I mean, is it something that investors need to be wary of, or does it present opportunity?
If they pull out, yes, it'll be very destabilizing, because nobody knows what's going to happen, including them. So, yes, but there'll be opportunities. I don't know what they'll be if things collapse. Whatever things collapse, Maggie, as I know your parents taught you, you should be looking for opportunity.
I know. We know that, Jim. It's so hard to do sometimes in the face of that uncertainty, is to sort of keep a clear mind. Last thing I want to touch on, the Federal Reserve. They're meeting today. I know you've been a longtime critic. You don't like what central banks are doing. We are finally getting to the end of quantitative easing. Does it make you feel any better about the situation that at least one central bank is almost done with these extraordinary measures?
Well, Maggie, we're not getting to the end in Japan or Europe or the UK. So, yes, maybe we're getting to the end in the U.S., but they're still printing money down in Washington. I hope they at least cut back a little bit. But, Maggie, what's going to happen is when markets start reacting and getting scared and go down, I don't know, 15 or 20%, they're going to call up Mrs. Yellen and say, save us. She's a bureaucrat. She's going to respond, and she's going to print money again. They don't know any better.
Right, and until the fiscal situation is under control, the pressure is going to stay on the Federal Reserve. What about the pressure, Jim, on China? You live in Asia. I know you've been talking about the dominance, the rising power for a long time about Asia. China is grappling with sort of an evolution of their economy, having to manage their own slowdown. They, too, seem to be getting pulled back into the stimulus game every time they try to institute reforms. What's your outlook for the Chinese economy?
Well, the economy is slowing down, especially property, and that's very good. You know, some speculators are going to go broke, which will be good. They had a bubble. They had inflation. They've got to solve those problems. What I'm doing, Maggie, is in November they had a big conference. They said these are the sectors of the Chinese economy we're going to emphasize for the next decade or two. Maggie, I got out the list. If the Chinese government's going to put billions of dollars into some sections, I am too. They have more money than I do. I'm just following along.
And what's the best pick of those sectors, Jim?
pollution control, probably. I mean, there are lots of them. Healthcare, agriculture. They're going to finally make the farmers rich in China again. There's a whole finance. They're going to open up finance more and more. There's a whole list. It's very public. It's not a secret.